I actually get this question a lot, so I kind of decided to address it because a lot of people are interested in Amanda's side of things and really what was her thinking and her mentality. I mean, obviously, I can't answer for her, but I can certainly get into the mind and have give an understanding of, why the disease became progressive in her life, and ultimately what were the origins of her issues. I'm certainly privy to that, and a lot of it I really wanted to come out into the book. And sometimes these types of questions, I'm not sure if they have another agenda, like are they looking for the family was the issue or the spouse was the issue? Sometimes I don't know. And if this is the first time you're seeing me, none of this is really going to make sense. But my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder a little over 4.5 years ago, and we had been married for 25 years. A lot of people are interested in, Amanda's perspective. So let's continue the conversation as I go through this. And to be honest, really, Amanda had threefold issues, I think, growing up. She had hereditary issue because she had people in her history that had died from alcohol use disorder. She had a grandmother that was very bad on her dad's side. And then it was family culture. I mean, the family, for whatever reason, they drank wine with dinner. They all drank Chardonnay. Amanda drank Chardonnay from the time I met her. She always had a couple glasses, at night after work or when we got together. It was just part of who she was. And I certainly didn't understand that. But, and again, it became progressive on its own. Now, the origins, I think, of her problems emotionally, which is really the core issue, is that when she was 16 years old, she had a very tight relationship with a boyfriend, and I think her parents got a little bit upset about it. And there's some things that happened. Yeah, you have to find out in the book, but there were some things that happened, and they separated her. And they lived in Irvine, California, and they sent her up to Northern California to an all-girls school, and it was very hard on her because she had this. I think it was very important. It was probably the first love of her life when she was 16, and the boy was like 18 or 19, and the family separated her. And there's some other things that happened, but they really kind of expunged her from the family, and I think that emotionally was something that she never got over. Amanda was a very outgoing, bubbly, vivacious personality, and she was kind of a black sheep in that stance from the rest of her family. She was very different. They were more very conservative, straight-laced, to some extent. And she was very different for them, and she always felt like she was a black sheep. And I think some of that, consciously and subconsciously, added to her anxiety and depression and overall stress, and added to the reasons why she drank at all. And, without getting too deep into it, because these people are no longer here, and it's really personal, but I mean, I think her relationship with her mother was always a little bit caustic. They were always kind of, doing this. And that definitely added to some of the problems. And unfortunately, when I met her, I mean, she did drink wine. And 10 years later, those couple glasses of wine at night became a bottle of wine. And then later, bigger bottles of wine. And then later, near the end, the last 6 or 7 years, it was really anything she could get her hands on. And she would get it any way she could, anyhow. And there's really nothing you can get in the way of someone who has alcohol use disorder. They will find it, no matter what. And ultimately, I can't really speak for Amanda, but I think she just never really wanted to stop. I think that's part of the core issue. I think she enjoyed the escapism, from some things that really bothered her with her own family. And I think that's really her core issue. I don't know. To really answer that, she liked drinking wine. Because I can remember asking her several times, do you think you could ever live your life and eradicate alcohol from your life forever? And I mean, she would honestly answer me, no, I don't think I can. And it was just such a part of her identity. Okay, and I think, I hope that helps the mindset and maybe some of the trauma and insecurities and stress that caused her to go down this path. So unfortunately, ultimately, her addictions and the escalation of her wine and alcohol consumption eventually created unbelievably health issues with her She had both her knees replaced. She had 2 surgeries on her ankles. She had her stomach removed. Many, many emergency stays. In fact, I talked with my son yesterday. He came over and we talked about how many times she was in the hospital. So by the end, it was so commonplace that we didn't even think about it. It had become her normalcy. And unfortunately, I believe she also suffered from Wernicke-Korsakoff at the end, and she was very unstable physically. And ultimately, unfortunately, it did cause her death. As much as I, as a person and as her spouse, tried to save her life.